We're on a deadline, my friends, and it is a very, very short deadline because not only on Fridays Monster Hunter Wilds launching, on Sunday I'm going to be flying out to Germany for World of Warcraft's Race to World First, that I'm going to be casting and doing all kinds of wonderful things and raising money for charity, and it's going to be a sick event, especially because we think there's a lot of secrets that are hidden within World of Warcraft's latest raid. But that means we need to send a rocket to space in 3 days. And according to my live audience, that is impossible. And I like the impossible because I think we can make it happen. But how? How? I got told in my chat yesterday that a summary of the TDP would just be why, who made this, why, and that's pretty much it. Well, yeah, that is true. But I think I'm getting to a place where life should be easier? Question mark. Life should be easier, I think. I'll run you through it real briefly. So, the issue I realized is that I've created a pollution cloud so devastating that it is ravaging the planet, and the insectoid life is not happy at all. And I've now kind of spread quite far, meaning that I am just constantly ravaged. I have seen buildings damaged up into the 70s sometimes, and it's always while I'm in the middle of trying to do something else, is like a part of my base is just completely destroyed. So I pulled back a little bit. I like zoomed out and I assessed my situation. That's what I did. I assessed my situation. And I realized that I've got these like choke points located around the map. I don't have one to the south, but in the north, the east, and the west, I have these choke points, these like natural choke points created by water and things like that. And so I thought, you know what I've been doing is building this like perimeter of turrets and things like that, which aren't usable anymore because there's so many entries into my base, and it seems like the insectoid AI is programmed to be like, well, you don't have any defenses here, so we're going to attack here, or your turrets don't have ammunition here, so we're going to attack there, despite the fact that if they went, 20 feet to the right, they would be annihilated. That's not going to work. And I've also realized I've created super bugs, is what I would call them, that are resistant, let's say, to my firepower. So the plan was simple. Eradicate everything. Now, I wanted to use the tank. Obviously, I have a tank. It's got to be way superior at this stage of the game. I have absolutely no ammunition for it. No flame. I could make it, but I hadn't attacked any of the insectoid bases in a while. And the last time I did, the secondary ammo I was using, the red one, was great. It just shredded them up. So I put that in the tank and went at it. I died almost immediately. And I was like, oh. And the only solution I had, because I was doing this quickly. Nothing in Factorio is quick. Nothing. Nothing is in Factorio is quick. But in my brain at the time, without the context, was like, I just need to quickly clean up like 6 or 7 camps. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock off these choke points, turret the hell out of them, and then that way I'm only vulnerable to the south, and I can focus down into the south to find uranium, which is something I want to do. So, I went at it. It was a war. It didn't go well. I used the car because I needed speed. Like, if I got hit by anything, I was dead. And the tank just, without setting up factories to produce shells and things, I couldn't use that. So I was like, I need speed in order to avoid their hits and outrun them and repair and get back in. So I used the car, which was, I know, I saw the responses. People were very mad. But it did work. In the true Factorio sense, it does work. Is it the peak way of doing it? No, it's not. But it did work. And I went at this for a while, like clearing out these camps. It was really hard, especially because I've spawned these like mega spitters. They look like dune sandworms that just one clap my car, pretty much, if they hit it. But I did clear them all out. And then I begun the process of just walling off these choke points, because at least then, if I'm getting a massive assault, I have some level of warning that it's happening, and starting to lock off the access points. As I was doing this, it became very apparent that I had forgotten a camp. And by the time, but it was like on its own and wasn't a huge deal. So I was like, okay, I'm going to finish this and then get back to it. Because I was kind of done riding around and killing enemies. I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to get building some stuff. And so by the time I got back to it, it had spawned 3 camps. Like, they spread really fast. Holy cow. They spread really, really fast. And it was bad. So back to war we went. I did it. Then I decided it was time to just develop this infrastructure, because I know we're trying to build the mall. I've been trying to build the mall for a couple of days, and I needed to get there. If we're going to have any chance of setting this rocket off, I need this line sorted. This whole system of just not having to manually build things is just taking time, and it's a case, in Factorio, it's a case of like, spend time now to save time later. And so that was my plan. So I did my job. I walled it off. It took a while, and I managed to, through so much effort, I can't express to you. You won't get it in this like TDP format, but sorting out the ammo distribution to all these places. Some of it arrives by train. Some of it is on a massive belt loop. All this kind of stuff. All that process was arduous, is the word I would use. It was tough. It was very tough. And I eventually got there. And it got to the point where I'd like sealed the north, east, and west borders. And I just looked at the map and what was going on. And I was like, I need to seal the south as well for now. Because I have an enormous amount of space to work with. I just need to seal off the south so I can get on with things. And I was pointing out at the time, I was like, this is working. The level of attacks we've been getting over the last hour since we started implementing proper defenses has been great. We've also been able to tear down a ton of things that are just no longer relevant, like tunnel lines, walls, things like that. We're able to rip all that out, and the drone army is just so good for this, just dripping it all down. That I actually did stop and build a factory that just produces the roboports, just so I can keep spreading them when I'm in a new area, because not having Wi-Fi in a certain area is worse than not having Wi-Fi on the toilet. It's like the end of the universe. It's not having access to the internet at that point and needing the drones to do things and just keep resupplying me with what I need so I can just keep constructing and copy and pasting and doing all that kind of stuff. It was all great. So I got to work on this. And eventually, it worked. I'm happy to say it did work. I am now completely enclosed. I can open a doorway to the south, which is where I'm going to do, to go and find uranium. I need to sell radars and things like that, because I realized you can actually do a lot of stuff from the map if you've got radar coverage. I didn't know that at all. I only discovered yesterday is that you can go out to the big map and then come back in. So that was my game plan. I then started work on the mall. I have to say, I felt really good about this, despite the fact that I know deep Factorio players like this is woefully inefficient. Or it's just not the idyllic way of doing things. But I'm not looking at guides and stuff. Like, as much as I have chat open, I'm not like... I like an aesthetic. I think that's what it comes down to, honestly. We were looking at some displays. Obviously, displays are a huge friend of ours. These are like mostly our custom displays that Chris has put together. And we have a massive discount code with display. You should check them out. They're really good. That's why we've worked with them for years. But, I saw a picture of what is the idyllic factory, and I hated it. It was so dense and so together. And everyone was like, oh, it's so beautiful. It's all working wonderfully. I'm like, I hate that. I really hate that. I like a bit of space. I like being able to like see where things are going. It's why I don't like the pipelines being all underground, because I like the tracking and the method of it, and I like it. So I built it the way I wanted to build it. I started building the mall. The mall is now under construction, and it's working reasonably well, but I think it's going to have major problems later on. Discovered we just don't make enough iron by any means. I need to access more iron, but all these are the things of Factorio style, right? You need more. But the mall is underway, and with copy and paste, I built one, made a blueprint, and then copied that, and I was like, oh, that's really nice. And then when I zoomed out, and it was all kind of nice, and it had symmetry and things like that, I was like, that's really cool. With space, with ground. I like to see the ground. I like it. I like some movement around the base. And started producing things like pipe, corner pipe, I'm basically going through every item in the game that is of reasonable relevance and just crafting it up and sticking like 50 of them in a box. And they're accessible by my drones. And the whole point, I think, is I'll have loadouts for my character, which are like, okay, I'm going to expand the mining operation, swap this loadout. The drones will just take all the crap away I don't need. and then they will bring the stuff I do need, and I could just keep getting to work and getting stuff done. So from that perspective, it was really nice to be more in a design phase, I guess is what I'd call it, than just get stuff built phase. It's like, okay, I want it to work this way, and come together here, and then I can feed it off, and then oh, that works. Cool, great. Now I can just copy and paste that on, and channeling all the resources into one area, so I have everything I need. So that's where we're at right now, and I've got 3 days left to launch the rocket. The only downside is I have a lot to do in the next 3 days because I'm going to be out of the country for probably 2 weeks, which means I'm not on site to film and do things, which means our timeline now is incredibly short to get this done, which may mean there's like a very long session coming up to try and get stuff done that I want to do. I actually played well past the usual time that I would go home and see my family and didn't know it. I like checked the clock and it had already gone like 20 minutes past when I should be on my way home to see my kids. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, this game. But I'm going to try and sort something out to get that done because I'm not abandoning Factorio, but I am going to be playing Monster Hunter Wilds on launch. So it's one of those. Time is of the essence, my friends. And I am aiming to get this rocket into the sky. That's the plan. So check in and see if we can make it. All right. Thanks for watching and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.